then you can play almost any position and be successful. But you need to have like at least a clue of how to play different types of positions. But yeah, I remember, I don't know, about 30 years ago when Kasparov was dominating, it was like, you know, he knew 5 months in advance that Adams will play Nimzo in Linares, so we came up with this idea, very strong, and he would dominate. But it's clearly not the case anymore.
And okay, we can switch to other games. Last question: what Liner Dominguez needs, where to improve to become a world champion? What do you think? Which part of the game is not on the level of?
I think probably my energy during the games and overall like focus was lacking a bit. Like that's why also I started to have like poor results in rapid and blitz, because it takes so much more focus. Yeah, it's just a small amount of time where you have to keep this super intense focus, and I think I was lacking a bit of that in the last years.
Yeah, for Kasparov and Magnus, and yeah, that's actually something where they are really.
Yes.
Yeah, very good. Okay, fair enough. Let's check other games. Let's start with Adams Sheckland. You played against Boff, I believe.
Yes.
Many games, probably with Sam a little bit more. With Miki, some games, do you recall some?
Yes. I was always a fan of his style, by the way. Like, I remember, you know, when I was very young and checking his such a positional, but at the same time, very, very strong style of play. He's getting this, you know, almost equal positions in, you know, like some French, or it's playing 92 French is just less aggressive than knight c3, and then sometimes, you know, just very slight advantage, and then he would just have this amazing technique. And but yeah, we played a few times. I think he beat me. I mean, I'm sure he beat me in 2012 in the Olympiad. Was it Istanbul? I think it was
2012.
Istanbul. Yes. And we made a couple of draws. We played in the Olympia 2014 as well in Tromsø. I was white, and anti-martial, it was a draw. And we made another draw, I think, in the Grand Prix here in London, by the way, in 2012. So we haven't played much. I think classical, those 3 games, so he's +1 for all I remember. And yeah, with Sam, obviously much more, the US Championships and American Cups and tournaments in the US in general. Also like super strong player, like very, you know, very strong in the openings. Like he knows his stuff quite well, is quite deep and good technique.
Regarding Miki, of course, we know he was top player and then he was there on very top. But you have some players like Vidit, for example, who was, as I was mentioning 2 days ago, not one of us, but let's say that he was 25, 50 playing some open tournaments, while you have Pragnananda and Gukesh, they are immediately like top players, and they actually didn't spend some time with us who were playing like regular open tournaments. But Sam, I recall some US championships, World Open, he was 25, 80, 25, 90, he made a big breakthrough to 2700. So always good in theory, but something happened. I believe that he improved other parts of the game.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's for everyone. I guess it's different. You have these periods where you, I guess, don't work much and you don't make improvement. Sometimes you like take it super seriously, and nothing happens. And sometimes you do it, and of course the results come. But yeah, he was always good in openings, but then at some point I think he just became stronger overall. Like his calculation became better, just technique, everything. Like he also like keeps a lot of the intensity, I feel, during the game. He's a fighter in general. I think even when he's always like keeping total focus just to make the most of his chances.
Yeah, my point was that you have still in US some players who are like 2600 or 2590, but couldn't make a breakthrough. I don't know, to mention maybe former Lenderman or someone who were capable of winning against top players, but somehow Sam became better than others. I'm sometimes laughing with Ivan Ljubicic, former coach of Roger Federer tennis, world number 3. who like chess, and then
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah.
I'm a huge tennis fan, and I remember. I mean, watching some of his matches.
he won in the U.S. There was a Davis Cup between Croatia and U.S. and he won, I think, versus Roddick and maybe two singles
Yeah.
and in double. But okay, you have Argentinian tennis player. He's world number 60. This Comasena or something like that.
Comasana.
Yeah, Comasana. And I was sort of commentating with him, and then Ljubic says, you know what? He said, that kind of players, tennis players in South America, you have 5,000. And this guy is best of those 5,000. So my point is here that in US at some point there were similar players, 2580, 2590. They're very, very solid. The new theory, but same is the one who was
Yes,
able to make a
difference.
breakthrough to 2700. Yeah, which I think it's a big thing.
Yes. No, for sure. Yeah, I think probably the difference. I mean, it's I guess everyone is a bit different, but I guess at the end of the day, it all comes down to the seriousness that you put into work. I know Sam is like a chess fanatic. Yeah, he's the guy who works in chess constantly and is very ambitious about his chess. He wants to keep getting better, and I guess that's at the end what takes you to the next level. So a lot of guys, and in the US also, because you have so many things also there and so many options, like the young guys, they're always trying to decide whether to go seriously for chess or maybe go to college or something else. And then you have other guys who are like teaching a lot, and the Lenderman and those guys. So it's not always the case that they focus like a real professional, like a top guy. And but I think Sam is the case. Yeah.
Just to remind the viewers, I think his career high was 2730, maybe
something like that.
Something like that. Okay, now he lost some points, but I have a feeling that he's back.
Yeah, for sure he's gonna try hard. Yeah.
Okay, let's discuss this position. I think you know a lot.
This is bishop b5 check. Yeah, it looks like some kind of English, but then I realized it's bishop b5 check. This new line where white goes d3 and c4. Yeah.
Yeah. Also,
bishop b2. Yeah.
Bishop a4 is possible. Bishop can go to d3. How to explain those moves?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess again this is a example of something similar to what we were discussing before. There are so many ways. Of course, obviously, white has such a huge margin. I mean, playing moves that will keep the evaluation probably within the same, 0.5 or 0.10. And then it's all a matter of, finding positions that you like or that you understand. And all these lines with bishop. I mean, this line was played just to go d4 or try to play c3 and d4 was the whole point.
d4 at some point, or to go to Marozzi, get rid of the bishop, and then
that was already kind of modern, but yeah, very understandable. But to go bishop b5 check and then put the bishop back on e2 and play d3, stuff like that. I remember back in the days, you would make a file for the opening and you would check in the database, like, what are the main moves here? And you try to prepare the main moves, and then at some point you would see moves that, they were played by people, 2,500 players, even 2,600. Ugly. You just don't look at this move. I have my files from 20 years ago are full of this. So moves like bishop e2, I would put and say, no,
slightly
not
better
really.
For black already.
But now it's one of the main lines. Yeah.
I'm trying to recall the exact year when Gary lost versus Fiedler in bishop e2 Sicilian. Which year?
I think it was Tilburg 97 or 98. Somewhere.
I think even later.
It was C3, yeah.
C3, knight f6, and bishop e2. And then Gary lost and saying, we won't analyze this, but of course I think he analyzed it. But we won't analyze it. If we start analyzing bishop e2, chess is over as a game.
Well,
Now it's not over. It became like a main thing to analyze those stuff. So.
Yeah, very topical line, this one, d3. And the point is to go c4. So white, of course, doesn't abandon the idea of getting the Maroczy, playing d4 is possible, and then getting the spawns on e4 and c4. But black now.
And then there is this 91 IC2 stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of symmetrical English type of play. But it's also a line that goes well, I think, with Adam's style. It's like just little improvements here and there.
Yeah, and if you
Solid
start touching
positions.
something with black pawn structure, it can be tricky. So you need to know when.
Yeah, it's not so easy just to solve the problems immediately for black in this line. I mean, you cannot really go for usually. I mean, if white does things properly, you cannot. It's not like play d5 and b5, so it's a lot of maneuvering. And I think that's a good, just a good position for Miki in general. But of course, it's just a fine position for black too.
What do you think? Why they are sort of blitzing? This bishop f3 probably is not in the notes of Sam and this knight b8, knight c6, but maybe
I
it
guess.
is.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I've been checking these lines relatively recently. I mean, there are some games are played, but still the theory it's not.
Is here, that's normal for English, that white has fianchetto, okay, after it's possible to push f4, so it can also happen at some stage that it's more or less similar, but no need for white to push g3 anymore.
Yeah.
But on this side, this is very
Rook b1,
common.
yeah, you could try b4. It's a typical the symmetrical English type of plan. Also, bishop d2 and b4 if you need. But black, of course, will play knight d7, I guess, at some point, and knight d4. Yeah.
And this setup is quite useful for against all those.
Yeah, quite flexible.
Black can also
black
push.
will go f5 at some point if he needs.
Okay.
Yeah, very solid. Probably some king h1 because b4 now you take everything and there's queen c5 check at the end.
Let's show it just so. This would be
would be bad for white.
There is a double attack, so some kind of antidote to b4. So king h1.
Something like king h1 would make sense, kind of at least making b4 a real possibility.
So also it's normal for white, yeah. So
yeah, it's not. Yes, it's around equal, but with all 32 pieces on the board, it's the chances for both sides. Yeah.
If we go fast forward, do you have any prediction what can happen? Possible scenario moves that the game become more sharper.
Yeah, the next few moves will decide a lot. No, if white wants to really go for b4, or also from black side, like you could try, I don't know, something like knight d4 at some point, f5, rook a8 or something like that. But I would say, yeah, I would think white will try to make somehow b4 work.
Is it the idea, since there is no g3, to transfer the queen? But
queen e1, queen h4, yeah.
But I don't know.
You have, with the knight on c2, it kind of, it's
pointless, maybe.
Doesn't look very, like, consistent. Like, it's 91, knight c2, and bishop to f3 seems more directed to
b4
to kind of, some solid play on the queen side, perhaps. Or
okay, so they still haven't exchanged any pawn or piece, right?
No.
So a lot of maneuvers. Let's see this one. I was impressed. I was telling this story. This match versus Kramnik 2012, if I'm not mistaken. Boris was mainly playing Nodirbek, and then he added this Sveshnikov to that championship match. Magnus played it versus Caruana in the championship match. At that time, Sveshnikov was fine, but it looked a little bit passive. But the way how Boris played it, he was well armed. Elyanov was there as his second, Tomaszewski plus Max Rothstein and maybe some others, Uzman as always. But I was interested what happened after bishop b5, because at that time Rosolimo was a bit unpleasant. You can go g6 now Magnus is playing this structure. I think he has, probably you played also against him, maybe that kind of things. Against 27 plus, he's scoring fabulously with the black pieces, Magnus. But Boris went for this E6 line, which was played mainly by Rajabov, maybe some players. And from my point of view, I was playing this line with the black piece. It's very hard because at some stage you have this structure, and if you push D5, you might have a problem. C pawn, if you need to sack a pawn at the right moment. How do you feel about this structure? Just to say that after the match, this is typical. You play World Championship match, Gelfand lost it in a tiebreak. I was chatting with Vichy about this match, but there were so many lines, so many analysis from that World Championship match, and that I think there was like, they were saying that you could live 3 years afterwards because of that preparation of World Championship match. And there was a tournament in London, and Boris played versus Adams with the black pieces, and I think he crashed some fabulous maneuver. I was very impressed with the way how he was handling this position. And in the Club Cup there was now Arjun Gaisi versus Boris, and he played really well. So for me it's quite impressive when I see someone is handling this position.
Yeah, it's a very interesting line. Teams, you know, it's but Black has this slight worse pawn structure. You lose some flexibility, of course, but then you have the two bishops, and you have a lot of potential. Like in some positions, Black can easily take over, and that was the main point, I guess, of this. Yeah, like some positions you go D6, E5, which is one of the main strategic goals of Black, just to avoiding any kinds of D4, and then eventually you go F5, you open for the bishops, and then you get a great position. Of course, in real life, it's much more challenging. If White plays well, he can keep control of usually after D6, White goes E5 himself, just to keep the bishop.
For example,
on
this kind of structure, it can be really tough because then this square
C4 square, the bishop on C8,
and
it's
if
a
you
bit
push
locked.
D5 at some stage, then also C5 stuff with I don't know, D3, B3, C. And
it's kind of Nimso Indian with reverse colors. You get this, you know, attack, you go B3, D3, sometimes even C4, fix the pawn on C5, and then start to attack it with knight C3, knight A4 in Nimso Indian style. Yeah, so, but I think overall it's very playable for Black even nowadays. I was checking recently, and not so easy to like prove an advantage. I think fully playable even at the top level.
You played it with White mainly, right?
I much experience in actual games with the Rosalima. I was playing D4 mostly after not really concerned about the but I did study a lot Bishop B5. Fabiano, for example, in the match against Carlsen in 2018, and I remember working like day and night on this Bishop B5. Once Magnus started playing knight C6, I mean the Sicilian. Working in all these lines with E6 and G6. So even though I didn't play it, I do have a lot of experience.
Just to add that in that match, I think that Fabiano went for this knight D5, right?
Yes, it was
so knight 3,
knight B5, D6, knight D5.
Yeah, this line.
Which was kind of fresh at that time. I mean, after that, theory became huge, and every.
But Magnus handled it very well, right?
Yes, he played well. I mean, I was thinking he was playing mostly knight B8 in the match. Then after he switched to knight E7, that became also one of the main lines. But yeah, the idea was kind of we went deep in this direction, which wasn't that. There wasn't so much at that time, so much information, so many games. And it was well prepared, and he was able to pose some huge problems at some point in the match. I think was it the 6th game or the 7th game where he had this famously winning position with in this line. But yeah, I remember the first game was a Rosalimo with Bishop B5 G6, and we were also trying to find resources there for White, but the lines are sound for Black overall.
How is to work as a second? Someone is saying that like 3 months or more, it's a nightmare because you don't have enough time, big expectations from your player, and you need to deliver. But when you turn on the engine, I was actually helping, for example, Ivan Sokolov during Y tournament, and it's hard to come up with something, from my point. But I did. I gave him some things against Greenfeld, against Geary, and some others. But I believe that it was not, an easy job, right?
No, it's not it. But you need to, if you want to make a difference, you have to, think for yourself, or at least try and come up with some ideas, some concepts. Of course, it's difficult, but I took it as a, not only as a opportunity to help Fabiano, but also for me as a player, it was also like a opportunity to work hard and to to get some knowledge, and then eventually I was able to use many of the things that I was working on. But of course, for me, the main focus even at that time was playing myself. So it was more like even like a training experience for me. But it was great.
Were you involved in some other matches or some other big tournaments?
Not as a second, you mean?
Yeah.
No, not after that. I just decided.
This game, so e6, as I said, but king with the knight to c6, and now black plays a6. He wants to force this structure, which of course
funny,
a6 is sort of useless, but maybe the point is that white
C3,
went
maybe white wants to have the pawn on c2 actually rather than c. That's what black is essentially saying with a6. No, it's like 97. I guess if white goes d4, which is the the logical thing to do if you have pawn on c3, then the structure is probably not so bad for black after taking. And although I don't know how to. Yeah, these positions are always.
Knight g6 or.
You don't really want to play d5, but then
So-
knight g6, bishop e7, bishop b7, like this to keep it flexible.
Yeah.
Sometimes keep the pawn on d7 and then maybe even go f6 or f5. If white goes e5, then you break with f6. And eventually the bishop, some bishop on b7 at the moment looks close, but it can always come to life powerfully with c5. That's more or less in the spirit of the line.
Knight g6. Anyway, bishop a3. I'm not familiar.
You can also play bishop a3 next, but I guess this is another way to do it. Yeah, just keeping it more flexible.
So bishop e7,
d4, and
takes,
take on
takes.
e7. He doesn't take.
postponed.
Okay.
And now this is the position. Nicholas was studying in US, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Have you played against him?
We play many times. Yeah, we were playing because he was studying at the university for just training. For example, I remember last year, prior to the World Blitz in New York, they organized a lot of blitz and rapid tournaments at the university where he was studying. And
during European, I was mentioning this for #1 for Greece, and he was doing great at this championship, playing for his board with top players, and big leader of the team. I've noticed that for me that player is underrated. I sense that he can play 27.
He can play at a very high level. Yes. I think he also has a nice style. Like he's very aggressive. King's Indian flag. I remember he beat Levon in the Olympiad in.
Sharon because of his.
Yes. So the typical exchange sack, I guess, was an option, like rook c6 and 95, or maybe bishop e5. Yeah, maybe 95. I guess it's possible. Yeah, maybe not great for white, but it's a typical thing you do in the Sicilian. One pawn, and the pawns are weak, and the knight is far on b6. I mean, if you could consolidate, I guess, with d3, queen c2, more moves, then I think white would be like firmly in the driver's seat here. But maybe black has time to just make some moves, right? But
also at some point, sometimes h5, h4, this queen is quite good. Maybe it's late for that.
But d4, it's also a typical Sicilian idea, just to break on the center. And I guess he takes on g2 first.
Just to add that, I think Spassky has said that if you have knights on b6, g6, it's bad. Okay, doesn't mean that it's always bad, but point is that black will need to reroute the knight because this pawn is controlling,
restricting the knight. Yeah,
quite well. So you mentioned d4. If takes on d4, Okay, more or less it's similar to take on G2. Probably it's a good idea.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it's better
Right,
to.
and he went for
he
queen
went queen
G4.
G4. Yeah, I guess if he took on D4, then it's slightly worse. It looks very. It's very normal. Like,
And then some
take,
C6,
take
yeah.
everything and then play C6.
Queen probably, right?
Yeah, and then C6. It's slightly, yeah.
Normal
Bishop
at
C5
some
point.
stage A5, A4 when he entangles the knight, and
Yeah, maybe some bishop C5, rook E8. Yeah.
E8 or something.
Yeah, maybe you wanna just bring the rook first, or play for A5. I don't know. It doesn't look like much for white, but maybe a bit more pleasant.
Yeah, I believe that you played versus both players. I played versus Eliano a few times.
Yes, Elianov is actually from our generation, 83.
Yeah.
I think there are two guys here, no? Because Luke McShane is also from
Oh,
83.
no, I think he should be younger,
82?
no?
Oh, maybe 80. No. I think
No,
he's
he's
80,
out there.
82 or 83, I think.
Maybe, yeah.
Almost sure he's from 83.
Oh, because I was mentioning many names: Bakrov, Ponomarev, Yakovenko. They're all. Maybe we could find even more.
Also.
Yes. And then we have 82 against. We played. It's Aronian is 82. I think.
Yeah, Vallejo is
Yeah.
82.
So it was not
My
simple,
friend
huh?
Brusson is 82. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. But Bruzon played in,
Oropes also,
but in older group,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken.
He also played 90. We played 98, 99, and 2000.
I remember it was this city next to Valencia, and then you came with those like jerseys or something. It was Cuba. You looked like really
Yeah.
professional at that time. It was under 16, right?
Yeah, I played. My best year was 2000. I was second in the 18 and under, but 18 and 19 were not great results for me. But yeah,
So Queen G4 just played, and then Knight C5. It's card. We are not using engine. They are sitting there. They can go much deeper. We are just drawing some concepts. So now it's very concrete, and
yeah.
it's
Queen
hard
G4,
to say.
Queen G4, obviously with the intention of going
E4 now,
E4,
or
yeah.
F5, E4. So
Yeah.
he played E4, Knight D2.
yeah,
My
attacking
feeling is that
E4.
black should be fine, but it's also quite concrete because
Yeah. I guess taking on C5 is an option.
E3 is too early to play.
E3, but I don't see a follow-up after
Yeah.
taking, yeah? Maybe Knight D5, but Knight D5, Rook F3, or...
Too early for that. Although engine thinks that is possible.
something like this.
Yeah, hard to say. Yeah.
Doesn't look completely correct for
Yeah.
black. At least.
So
that's
he took on
feeling.
C5 first.
Yeah, taking on C5, like you gain some time now. E4 at least
Because
it's not attack.
Rook C5.
Yeah, I guess you could play Rook D8 or
yeah.
something like that. Yeah, at least E4 is not under attack.
So DC5.
DC5 opening the bishop, but then I guess.
Okay, there is no pressure over the C file, right? Which is
Right.
a good sign for
Yes.
now. This knight is not bad at all.
Yes. Like if black gets time to play, Rook D8 and so on, could be very good.
Okay, black
He wants
got
some
the
rook
game.
C4
Black
maybe,
got
or-
the game, yeah. So
Like if Knight D5.
knight D5 or okay, like D5. You mentioned rook C4.
But Rook C4, no, I don't think so. No, there is Knight F4 and everything. No? Although Knight F4.
Yeah, engine
H1.
doesn't care for engine. This is just a normal, ordinary move. Just
King H1, yeah, it's not even good. Yeah. No, but maybe because F5, maybe Knight E4 even. Yeah.
but let's F5 knight, then check.
Then checking H1,
Really?
no idea.
Yeah, it actually.
Take on F4, and then Rook
Yeah.
D1 and so on. There's Queen D5 also.
Okay. Yeah, it's.
A little bit of a crazy line, but
But getting. No, this is the analysis. Let's just check the current position. So
Yeah, but
Nikita is thinking.
if not Rook C4, it's not so clear what's the follow-up for white, because it looks like black will play Rook D8. I mean, and
But I just want to praise Pavel also for Nikita for yesterday and 2 days ago. They're playing sharp lines, because now in terms of standings, they're sitting on 50% or -1. So yeah, they're sitting on 50%. And then you're playing some like players same rating.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
tempting to
tempting
play
to
very
yeah.
solid. And
So yeah, big kudos for that because they are playing
yeah,
quite an interesting game. And we have the last game, which is Gavain John versus Mishra. Can you tell us a little bit more about Mishra? Have you played against him?
yeah, I played a couple of times against him. The last 2 US championships, I believe, that I played. And yeah, obviously very talented. Such a young age. I think that's the record, right, for
Yeah,
the
yeah,
youngest ever Grandmaster. So yeah, very strong. The question is if he can, just go further, and I think he absolutely can. I mean, at least has the potential to go to 27 and pass 2700. But
You know what I've noticed, Liner, that you have some like young players from India or I don't know, it can be even US, quite sharp, very great in tactics, crashing the field and getting to that GM title and maybe even I don't know 2600. And then suddenly, when you listen to their thoughts and their concept, they became like more positional. Is it the moment when they get some like bigger like training camps and suddenly they're influenced by the positional and players who are actually or they were like lacking that part and then they want to feel it hardly. And what I've noticed, yeah, that when you hear Mishra coming here, quite positional way of explaining things, which you wouldn't expect from
Yes.
those kind of
Yeah.
players. I've noticed this with some of them that there is a strong like positional influence at some stage. Probably they couldn't afford or they didn't have that kind of coaches. Everything was based on tactics, and maybe openings.
Yes, could be. Yeah, I think. I mean, when you get to 26, 50 level and plus, I think you need some sort of solid at least understanding of positional factors, or what we call positional play. But it's true that some players have like they they are heavily more towards tactical play and concrete calculation and good openings than anything else. And maybe that's just part of the logical process of improving and becoming much stronger. Like you,
Giri, Pragnananda, at some stage, I don't know, around 2600, wake how they were like explaining things, but it was positional sort of, and then later maybe again some tactical and sharp. And that's why I was doing this intro because I'm not surprised that he went for is it the French defense or is
I
it?
think the French
Yeah.
is his one of his, let's say, weapons when he wants to kind of fight. I remember that was the case when we were playing the US Championship, because I think it's an opening that he was playing when he was maybe lower rated, and he still has it in his repertoire. Don't know for sure what's when he uses it and when not. Maybe it's very specific for today's prep, but I know it was an option when you face him. You have to be ready for French. Yeah.
Okay, E5, not so common choice.
E5. Yeah,
Yeah.
one of the most aggressive, I guess, but. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he prepared this. Yeah, maybe Gawain he plays this E5 often, and
This is like old school line.
93.
Takes, knight f5, and
Nice
there is some
deeper.
knight b4 stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Will this happen? No, not really.
Maybe now.
Yeah. Takes.
Yeah? Queen D2 very solid. Yeah, bit better for white. Yeah. A4. Kind of anti-bishop b5. I would think. No. Also, like nowadays it's automatic. We move the H pawn almost the first chance. Yeah.
Approved by the engine, so
Yeah.
they just
Getting
put-
some space, giving some ideas just in case. But I think maybe stopping bishop b5 was the main. I guess he wants to keep the bishop, put it on d3, and
castles. Bishop d3, small tactical trick to explain. Discover the attack, so discover check, so he cannot take.
yeah, not sure if he wants to allow bishop takes f5. or not, or if that's not an issue. Like some move like rook c8, do you really want to allow bishop f5?
Yeah, maybe the only thing is this
Yes,
is important
favors,
factor on
favors black now, maybe, no? Because a4 is weak, rook c4 is there. And there's no clear way for black, for white to.
So let's say rook c8, if you don't take on f5, what do you do?
Yeah. Good question. I guess g4 is too much, g4, you force the knight back, but kind of weaken yourself.
Yeah, usually then better than me f6 or knight g6, something later. Yeah. But it's possible. Gawain sometimes h6 played.
h6. So
okay.
Doesn't really want to take on d4. He just wants to control g5, and h6 is pretty useful. Yeah, you get away from all the bishop takes h7, all knight g5s, all that.
Yeah, and in this also it's useful in this.
Here it's also useful. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe here now g4, g5 isn't too much.
Okay, why not? The only problem is if you take on s6 and g6, you still need to work. Yeah, to do something. Yeah.
Include rook a3 somewhere, but it's a one shot.
Very nice. It's possible. Maybe he will go that way, but
in Gawain, it's very aggressive player.
Maybe we can just check other games to give some conclusion. Then we can go for a short break. All the people just came, but what to do, guys? You need to wait for us a bit. So let's just briefly check. This is the position, Alireza. Okay, what has happened here? We left around this point, so e5 was played.
And then the knight to e6. Yeah.
Okay, this engine evaluation, let's forget it.
Queen a4. Queen a4 just like this, yeah.
Normal for both sides, huh?
Yeah, I guess it's very tactical. Like there are knight c4 ideas, but then I don't know. Do you really have to play rook b5?
Yeah, is it possible? Probably not.
Knight f4.
To go. Probably not.
Not now, but
not now. At some point, huh?
But attacking e5 and b6 and rook b5 looks a bit suspicious.
So why this doesn't work?
No, because it's with check.
Sorry, I forgot about check. Yeah, sorry.
With the king on h8, it would be an option, maybe.
Yeah, I forgot about the check. So rook b5 or what?
Either rook b5 or rook, but I don't think you give the rook, no?
Probably
rook b5. Yeah. And then it's not so easy to break the rook looks a bit, misplaced on b5. Just say a4, but a4 rook b4.
But you don't want to spend like some moves to take this bishop.
And e4 is under attack as well now, so.
Okay, so we will check this game later. Then we have Luke versus Theodoros. So in that waiting game, finally, and develop. And in Mickey
versus, better for white, but very even.
Very solid, huh? And we have here f5.
Yeah, interesting change in the structure, no? Taking on c3 and then taking with the pawn, which looks, in principle, good for white because you control d4. Now your knight is free to go. Your knights are, you can go knight e3, whatever. Not worry about knight d4 anymore. And of course, you have this pressure on the b file, which looks a bit annoying. But
a lot of potential as well for black to start pushing something, maybe.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, he went f5, right? It was his idea, and then he wants maybe knight f6 back and start maybe knight f6, knight a5. This type of try to put pressure on e4 and eventually on c4, but you have to watch out for the b6 pawn. Yeah, it's a very interesting, very unusual structure. Still, only one trade, only the dark square bishops. All the rest of so there's a lot of flexibility, I guess. I in principle would prefer white, but yeah, it's not so. It's not bad at all for black by any means.
Okay, we will go for a break. We can leave you with Eliano versus with Hugo because this seems like the most challenging. So start calculating yourself, and we will come back very soon. So let's go for a break. And we are back. Some coffee break has happened. Liner, you went to the playing hall or not?
No, I didn't go.
Okay, but it's interesting sometimes when I go to the playing hall, then I get this feeling how hard is it, because sometimes when you're just watching from the screens, you don't see it, you don't feel these tensions. Where in the playing hall you see that players are really fighting hard. I believe that we will see maybe one for sure, maybe even more decisive games today. I have a feeling, because this one, we have it on the board, looks quite complicated. Of course, drawing margin is always high in chess, but it seems quite promising in terms of...
I think in general the games, I mean, we have games, it's like no game went to like completely such a drawish territory that it'll finish soon. I mean, maybe they'll finish soon, but at least so far they look like...
So we left around here, knight e5, and then white started to grab some space on the queen side, but this e3...
Yeah, e3
seems
computer didn't like... I don't know if it's because it just makes your position worse, or just because he had
something
something like...
But I don't see it. It looks like a sort... But it
looks
gives
like a normal move. I mean, you give this d3 square, but it doesn't look it doesn't look that important because you're attacking e4 and so on.
Queen g6, I would say a normal move, unless there is something a3 to control this
control
b4 you were mentioning. And now, what can be the issue? Okay, with engines immediately see some way to attack.
Yeah,
but
it doesn't look simple now. If thinking in terms of creating something on the king side, because the bishop on b2 controls the diagonal. I mean, the e5 square. I guess that's as soon as white puts a knight there, you have the option of just removing the knight and guess put queen on e2, rook fd1, this type of play. b4, which was even played, but at the same time, yeah, black's position feels quite good as well. I mean, there's no like obvious worries.
Yeah, we cannot say that black did anything wrong because after b4 a6 can be played, so this knight
and the knight is very stable.
Rook,
very
some
hard.
f5. It's typical like English.
Go f5, f4 maybe.
But now one question. So in this moment he went for rook 8 to e8. Rook d8 is also tempting.
Yes.
So they say that the stronger player you are more skillful in terms of vision where to place your rooks. So rook d8 is a normal square, but he went for rook to e8. So f5, f4 is probably
what he has in mind, or some kind of rook transfer via e6 and then like queen f5, rook h6 type of play. But yeah, I guess, I mean, d8 is such a natural square for the rooks, and if you want to play, put the rook on the 8 is obviously the a rook, and then you can keep the other for like rook e8, rook e6 if you want. So I guess rook a8 just signals that he wants to use the f5, f4 resource. But
is this remind you maybe of some of your games with the black pieces? It's quite common, huh?
Yes.
That you played against someone that you have some pleasant memories, because this now looks, if you play some like very good game, and if you win, that is, I would say, like a model, sort of typical way.
And nothing comes immediately to mind, but
it's
I do like black's position a bit, h5, h4, queen f5, or even this f5, f4. So he went b4, right?
Yes.
So b4, I guess a6 is natural, just to keep the knight on c6, no? Or
yeah, but he went knight e5.
Knight e5, so he doesn't want to.
So he wants to transfer maybe, or
I guess you need to take, otherwise the knight comes to d3. And rook e5, then you get your rook transfer, h5, and so on.
Nikita is quite good in those structures in this kind of positions, but I've noticed that sometimes he would make like 10 fabulous move, gets plus with this inspired play, and then burns some energy in process, clock is ticking, and misplayed it in the end. So this is sometimes signal of shape. If you're in a good shape, you can keep it till the end. If it's not, if you're not to outplay Lyanov in next 5, 6, 7 moves, you need to really come up with something very classy. And it burns a lot of energy, and it's not so simple. For example, 2 days ago, he played versus Alireza, and there was this Sicilian Nodirbek where black got some really good position. It's 0.60 plus and so on. And I said that you need to be a really good player to hold this against Alireza, because there was a better bishop, opposite castles, passers on the king side, and he was actually up to a task, which means that you are in a good shape if you can hold worse position, slightly worse position versus Firouzja right after the opening, sort of. So it seems to me that Nikita it's in a good shape. So I'm curious, will Pavel also, who is also doing quite well, but previous rounds, I would say that he got his positions, winning versus Gavin Jones, playing a normal game against Mishra, and it reminded me also of Pavel's game versus Mamedyarov at the Club Cup, that he really avoid any counterplay. But this position, I'm not sure that this is It's quite.
Black has some play on the king side, but at the same time, it's type of structure where you have the e4 versus e3 pawns. E4 of course gives black space and some possibilities on the king side, but at the same time, white gets some squares too, right? Like the pawn in itself can be weak sometimes, and also you have this d4 square. I guess if white goes something like taking on e5 and plays some queen e2, rook d1, knight c4 or knight b3 type of play, that would be like the real question. Like, can black?
Yeah, and also if white managed to start.
Yeah. Also another question, like, do you want to play, because after bishop e5, rook e5, there is this move c6 maybe, just to. I mean, I don't know if black really wants to play c6. And just to cement this knight on d5, it gives the d6 square, but it might black might just ignore that, go with the rook to h5, you go knight c4. But white can go c6 first, just to stop. And I guess if you take, you can always recover the pawn. And if you don't take, then the knight is less stable on d5. That's small question, but I guess that the bigger one is just overall, if it's so easy for black here against something like queen e2, this type of construction to really do something on the king side.
Yeah, let's put it this way. So if black is there to play for a win, to come up with something, he really needs to come up with something super good.
Yeah, I think it would mean it's something special, because it's like normal moves. So I don't think will get you very far here in terms of creating a real attack.
That means that black needs to decide either he will go for an attack or he will stabilize when then it's a drawing margin is quite high.
Yes.
And probably white will in any case start playing not only moves but sort of logical moves. So white won't invest so much of energy, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. Black can always kind of, think again and play, well, maybe I'll go to the d file with the rooks, play knight e7, knight f5 or c6 back, and then rook d8, rook d5.
Exchange.
This type of play, which I guess is reasonable, but...
Let's go full screen. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more. You can sense maybe by the body language, so that we can confirm our thoughts. Yeah, I think that Nikita is really now trying to get deep and find something. It seems that he's aware that this is sort of critical position.
And the times, how are the times?
54 minutes for Pavel, 46.
So Pavel has a bit more time.
Yeah, I believe that now Nikita will really need to come up with something. Or he's sort of pretending that he's getting ready to launch the attack. Pavel seems to be worried a bit, but okay, also hard to say.
Yeah, I think Pavel is a very, it is, of course, he's capable of playing well all positions, and it's very brilliant attacking player, but I think his main strength is to sense this, like simple positions, like the game you just mentioned against Mamedyarov was a very nice game, just complete positional domination. I think that's his main strength, and it might feel to a point natural to him, this position where he has to just be aware of black's resources, control them, and then try to exploit his own pluses. He goes knight c4.
Knight c4, yep.
Immediately asking the rook questions.
I'm not so expecting.
Yeah, kind of forcing the rook to the king side.
Yeah, I would be more curious to see if he just stick to his guns and wait a bit to see will black go for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say a 5f4 was an option, but I guess you would have to play some kind of king h1 in that case, and then to avoid f4. But he goes for knight c4 immediately, kind of probably has something super concrete in mind now, because after a move like rook h5, then already black, I guess, starts to have some really like concrete threats even. Like queen f5 now. I mean, you can still play h4, but it starts to be a bit more shaky, I guess, So what's his plan? I don't think he wants to go to a5. I mean, that would be to put the knight like really far away from the action.
Yeah. Actually, that was the case in Shackland versus Abdusattorov.
Yeah, the rook on a4.
Yeah, but because of some.
It was forced. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
kind of.
Yeah, but it's obvious that you cannot in this position you cannot leave your king undefended.
Yeah, and knight c4. I don't know. It's like it's a good square, but at the same time, you know, what's the follow-up? Yeah.
Maybe it was sort of psychological. He's a bit down, you know, in last two ranks, and you won't start showing to your opponent that you are alive, that you can go a bit to the center. But as I said, I would love to see would have rook h5 happened if there is no knight c4 move. But
Yeah.
okay, what to do? This is now the current position, and after knight c4, I believe that Nikita will switch to the king side. He's not a player who will blink in this kind of position. I think he's ready to go.
Yeah,
go
no,
for it.
and he understands that this is probably what the position just requires. Yeah, I think Nikita is just such a classical player. Yeah, he will always kind of try to play the principal way. If he thinks that the position calls for queen trade and being technical, he'll do it. But if he thinks that he has to go all in, I mean, to go aggressive, he will also do it.
Yeah, I think now maybe we should switch to another games because they will think a bit, and in next 3-4 moves, after 3-4 moves, we will have much more info about the position. Maybe it will be complete mess in like 3 more moves. Where to go? Let's check what's going on one by one. So
Yeah.
we left around here, and knight a5 was played. So he wanted to
knight f6, yeah.
to put pressure on those 2 pawns.
Makes sense, yeah. Knight on a5 is quite good if you can attack something, but otherwise can be, completely
In Dvoretsky's books, there was always that you should take with the opposite.
with the opposite.
But
yeah.
actually,
Which is not- which
yes,
is not-
exactly. When you check with the engine always takes with the
Yes,
with the E.
the pawn. Yeah, with the G pawn is something like completely.
Yeah, but that was taught
it would
also.
need to be something extraordinary. Yeah.
Yeah. The takes, and this is the current position. Now structure this knight on G3. It's
Yeah, has
bit
no
misplayed.
future, and the pawn structure is always a bit better for black, although I don't think it's making a huge difference. Yeah, black has this problem on b6. Knight on a5 is also a bit out of play. Like with pawns on c4 and d3, you don't really attack c4 or anything like that. But yeah, the problem is that on the king side, black is doing well. Like this, as you mentioned, the knight on g3 has no prospects at all. I guess it's probably around balance, around equal, yeah, objectively.
But let's put it this way: who should be more careful? Maybe white,
Yes,
or
that's a good question. Yeah.
maybe black can a little bit more easier life. He can even double on the e file.
I would take white. I think because
Anyway, yeah.
it's I don't know, the knight on a5, and also you have this pressure on b6. I don't know. You
manage to
can
double, yeah.
kind of try to regroup this knight from g3. I don't know where. That's another good question. Yeah. Like if somehow you could
So what's the first move? Is it
probably queen d.
queen f3 as well? Is it this an option or not? Not needed.
Yeah, queen f3. Probably black will have to go to b8 at some point with the rook. Yeah. Maybe queen f3. It's a move. Yeah. And if you have the chance, then you play rook b2, rook b1.
But I was mentioning this, for example, in Croatia, we have a Grandmaster Kozul. I was working with him. He was European champion. And those guys who are like their prime is way behind them. But if they can start dealing with the details in the position, if you narrow the possibilities, I'm talking this also for Mickey, but on a higher level. If he can dig into details, if position is under some control, they can really play on 27 plus level. And here maybe Mickey can already start
Yeah, it's
start
simple
dealing
position.
with
You
with
don't-
details.
There are not so many things to. I mean, there's always some complexity in chess, but this is, I think, it's this type of position probably, because it's about maneuvering. It's aware of the knight on g3 problem, so it'll try to come up with some solution, and at the same time to create some little problems for black. Now maybe objectively it's just very near equal, but
But the normal game
Yeah.
from both sides.
there
and,
is
yeah.
life, in the position for sure.
And we cannot say that they were like not creative. They tried, but opponent is playing well, and
Yeah,
as you mentioned, drawing margin is quite high. Let's check McShane, because you mentioned this, that the pawn should stick to d7, and then some other options, f6, f5 are coming, and very interesting. As you mentioned, light
This
square
is-
bishop,
This is
light
super
square
interesting
strategy.
because of the so many possibilities in terms of changing the pawn structure. Yeah, with white, for example, you don't know should you take on f5 or wait for him to take on e4 or play e5. All those are different in terms of the possibilities that arise after, and you have to compare all those options and try to think. And the complexity, it's because they all look not so different from it. There doesn't seem to be like a big difference. You have to kind of choose well. I think for black, of course, the dream is to get the bishop back to life someday. In the case white goes c5, obviously you play bishop b7 and c5. That's the hope. On the other hand, if you open the f file, it also looks like something for white. I mean, some for black, some accomplishment.
Not a normal position, like Dostoevsky said. How he said, all like normal families are similar in the normality, but
Yes.
the ones who are not, everyone is different. So like this position, you can compare a bit, but not like exactly to some. It's a new position. It's
quite rich in terms
Yes.
of possibilities because of
possible to win even with the black pieces. In some scenario, it can happen. Not in easy way, but it can happen. So I think that Nicolas is also a bit. He's worried, but he knows if he stands the pressure, there might come a chance even.
Yeah, and this is the type of play that he likes. I think when he gives always some chances to take over, he doesn't like to stay passive. I mean, nobody does, but especially him. I think his style is very much built on the idea of taking the initiative as soon as possible, and I'm sure he's contemplating all this. He just played bishop b7. Just whenever he has the chance, he will try to activate the bishop. At the same time, Luke is also the guy who understands well the positional chess. He's analyzing all these differences between the possible pawn moves. And his position, I think objectively, white should be able to control, at least to some extent, the bishop and the breaks on c5 and so on.
So we are getting some kind of middle game, but in a quite late in terms of time consumption. They are still making some normal, early middle game moves, but still they're spending a lot of time because structure is not classical.
Yeah, now comes the moment to calculate, I guess. Is c5. It feels like black should still make a move with the rook, like bring it to, I don't know where, to c8 or to d8, or also difficult to say because they're not on d8 there's a pawn on d7.
Yeah, and
I guess c5, I don't know, that feels a bit too soon. I mean, white could take on c5 and you don't really want to have the queen opposite to the rook. I don't know. d7 is hanging as well.
Yeah, here I think also the issue maybe for white is that he's still waiting to see where to place his knights, because there are no clear outposts yet. Stable, but he's waiting a bit to see what will black do.
Yeah.
Because any knight jump at the moment is not going somewhere. Knight
Knight
f4.
f4.
Okay. It looks very tempting, right? This combination
Yes.
with the rook.
And I guess, yeah, it's also hard for white to get rid of that knight so easily, no? I mean, you don't really want to play g3, and all moves will not bother the knight so much, like. And yeah, if you can stick the knight on f4, and then, you know, eventually c5 comes, could be much more powerful.
I expect some rook e3 that just he holds a bit and waits.
Trying to control
yeah,
it.
Yeah. The thing is, engine will give you it's a small plus. Everything is crystal clear, but I believe there are a lot of hidden details already.
Yeah.
So they're thinking a lot. That's why they're spending so much time. Which move is that? Let's try to see. Will we get only 14 moves? So you might get. Luke sometimes gets into time trouble. Nicholas as well. So,
yeah, this is exactly the type of position where you take a lot of time, because, you know, nothing is clear. It's like different options and they all look kind of similar. You don't really know exactly what you're aiming for with this like unusual pawn structure.
And maybe just it can be instructive for viewers. On this level, sometimes you don't want to define structure. So you don't want to be the first one
Yes.
who will make some concession, but then it's not easy to find, to adjust,
moves,
to adjust to potential pawn structure definition. And okay, you made all those moves, and now it's sort of like overdeveloping. Yeah, you might start hurting your piece if you are moving it. Very interesting position. I'm happy with black in this position, but I've seen so many times and I lost in like some games, even mainly online, but even over the board when it looks better than it is. It looks now quite. If you were like checking some blitz game and someone, it looks really tempting. But when you start digging, you see that it's also not easy to come up with something next with the black pieces.
I guess after queen d2, the idea is to take on e4 now. I'm thinking maybe queen d2 just to, if it forces black to take on e4, the knight comes to e4, then potentially could go to c5, put the bishop under pressure. So, but yeah, it's a move. At the same time, you know, the queen on d1 is kind of more solid.
I was thinking there are no
some knight h3 tricks.
I was
like
thinking.
taking on e4, knight e4, knight h3 check. But I think I can move, yeah.
Somewhere else.
As long as, yeah, king maybe I don't know, maybe h1. Let's try. And yeah,
it looks that not much which will happen. I don't know, some rook f3, queen h4, but probably this is way too much.
Yeah, impossible, but it feels like white can control this. Yeah, queen e3 or something.
Yeah,
with the bishop on b7, it's really.
Yeah, now trying to open
playing,
everything and bring, but the engine, of course, says it's.
Yeah.
But here there might be some. You see that it's saying that it's giving
equal,
composition. Yeah. So
rook f8, maybe simple play. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe just positionally. Good positional compensation.
So you see the viewers that white needs to bother with all those things. You want to go queen d2, but then you need to evaluate that kind of position, and you cannot do it even for them, top players. They cannot do it so fast. So that's why he's thinking and hesitating a bit.
Yeah, certainly.
Where to go. And I think also it's important for black that you maybe won't sacrifice, but you give this option to your opponent that he starts thinking about it, and then you get some 15 minutes on the clock. So that's also some kind of practical way of playing, that you pretend, or at least offer your opponent the chance that he needs to take this into consideration. Very interesting game, yeah.
I guess rook e3 also makes sense, like you said, yeah, like just reinforcing the third. I mean, it just keeps everything together. And then ask the question, like, how does black improve? No, because it's also not so obvious what's the way to.
Yeah, because whatever you do, black and white can stop. If you start doubling the pawns, then I will lock the f file. So it's not easy to adjust to new circumstances. One question, Liner, what do you think? You know top players better. You are one of them. Is this position where we could see like different approaches of top player? I don't believe so. It's sort of one-sided. That if you're there, you need to probably, even if we put now instead of Teodoro, let's say you, or we put I don't know, Fabi. It might be more or less similar play with the black.
I think so. Yes. Here it's pretty decided. I think in terms of general play, general plans, what black needs to do, and then it's a question of just how to implement. Yeah, like of course, top players tend to be like super concrete. I mean, I'm discussing things very generally, but when you're in a game, you're not telling yourself so much. You know, this knight is misplaced, or you kind of know that for sure, and you're all into moves like. Queen d2, does it work or not? fe4, knight e4, knight h3 is a problem, maybe not. King h1, maybe this works. What about rook e3? Yeah, it's just moves. But I think in terms of general play, we would all be very similar. Yeah, trying to do the same things.
Got it. Okay, let's switch to another game. Let's see our main game, how Alireza, we haven't touched this for a while.
Yeah, this is an interesting game.
So e5 was played, rook b6, transferring the knight. Hang on. That cannot be the move, or is he still?
Yeah, they're still there?
He's 17 minutes on the clock, really?
Really?
Is the game stuck? No, let's go full screen, but I believe it's a normal. Everything is going well, that he's just thinking a lot.
No, knight is on c4, rook is on b5. I think he played just that move, right? Knight c4, rook b5. Judging by the camera.
So let's just recheck. Yeah, so we are losing some moves.
Does he really have 17 minutes, or?
I'm not sure about. It would be great to get this info. It doesn't seem normal to me. I don't believe that he dropped so much on the clock.
Yeah, it would be strange, no, to think so long in this position.
But there is one possible scenario, Liner, that there is a possible threefold repetition. And then they are somehow repeating, and then he's deciding to repeat it. No, that can be an option. Maybe.
Well, knight is on c4 and rook is on
b5, coming back, that this is kind of option. Will he make it a draw or not? That can be an option, but... So let's try to reconstruct. So knight is on c4. Let's bring the board back.
Yeah, I think it's in that
knight
position.
C4,
Knight
rook
c4,
b5.
which
Is there anything else
before the break? Yeah.
That's it, right?
I think so. Yeah. Just looking at the camera.
So why should I go back after knight e2?
Yeah, it's not the most logical of.
Can protect. No. So I don't believe.
No, I mean black doesn't really have to play rook b6.
So is there any scenario where we can
repeat moves?
Some queen d3 or something.
I don't think so. Huh?
Yeah, no need for rook b6. So I don't see any scenario where a rook comes. So this is the current position, and knight c4, rook b5. I don't see a scenario for threefold repetition.
Yeah, I guess it's hard for white to just find a concrete way to create problems here for the rook on b5, and the thing about the bishop on b2, I mean this d4 e5 construction it's solid, but also restricts the bishop on b2 a lot. Yeah, like it becomes basically a very bad piece if the structure holds.
I know that sometimes there were some plans with knight e1, knight e3, but this cannot happen. Usually when queen could come to e4, then yeah.
Yeah, I thought about it just to make a4 possible, but it's a bit slow, yeah. Not so easy to.
Is there any tactics with bishop d4, e5 stuff? Now I'm thinking.
Bishop d4, ed,
e5.
e5.
Doesn't look best, but is it possible? it's not working probably. I'm trying to exploit all those things, but rook will come to the play later. Maybe just moving the king is even possible.
Yeah. Or maybe bishop. Yeah, I don't know.
Bishop
Bishop
E7 takes on f6.
Time, yeah, take.
Yeah. This actually.
Probably something quicker, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe put the knights. Can I put the knight on c3 or something? Knight e4. Take on d6.
I want to play twice 3.
Not so much. Yeah.
So I said king h8, but also computer is not happy about it. So what is the move here?
There is something strong for black, right? According to the
Yes.
to the engine.
I'm really curious. Some sacrifices, but knight g4, e takes. I don't see it. So this is actually not working. Very curious. Very curious. Knight d5 maybe, and just take cd and then start jumping.
Yeah, no, it would be logical to try to jump to f4 at some point, but I don't see. I mean, with the king on g8, you cannot really play knight f4 at once.
Knight
Knight c5, but it doesn't really,
yes. Queen
solve
a2.
the problem.
Yeah, I didn't do much.
Queen a2, yeah.
So knight d5 I mentioned, then e d6 again. Very interesting line. Engine is very
Screaming that we should find some special way.
Okay, taking on e5 is possible.
Yeah, I thought,
And
but
then moving the queen, right?
Take and queen d5 or something. Knight c5, I guess.
I was thinking queen here, but then I'm coming.
This is not it.
Yeah, rook c7 is coming. Everything is.
Is it bishop b4? Ah, maybe that's the thing. Bishop b4. Because if ef6, bishop d2.
Very good. Yeah. Oh, this is nice.
Something special, yeah.
This is really nice. Bishop b4. Okay, but through the process of elimination, it's possible to get to suddenly start.
Bishop b4, what a way, yeah.
Very nice.
Because the problem is that if you take on b4, then just the pawn on e5 just takes away the square for your knight. So all of a sudden my knights are great on d5 and e6. b4 is weak. It's just terrible.
This is a very nice move. Yeah. But as I said, you see that you will lose a piece, so then suddenly it crosses your mind.
But it's easy to think in the game that, you know, bishop d4, e5 is a problem. You're right, yeah. Because in the game, nobody's telling...
Yes, the bishop b4 is there.
Yeah, nobody's telling Alireza that...
Yeah. So maybe that was his concept, and then he spotted this bishop b4. Maybe around here he wanted to go for it. I will go queen b3, knight c4, take on after rook b5, take on d4 and push e5, and suddenly you spotted this. Current state of affairs is this position, right? I think now we got the moves. And let's go full screen because I think it's correct now. Let's go full screen. And I think now we have a correct position. So he's thinking, and the clock situation, maybe it's correct. 10 minutes, yes. Let's go full screen just. So what do? You just drop to 5 minutes?
He hasn't moved, yeah.
Okay, if he now finds some plan, it's possible to play next 5 moves, sort of in a blitz mode, but still it's risky.
Yeah, very risky. Yeah, position is not clear at all. I think playing fast is not going to be that easy. Even thinking 5-6 moves ahead.
Yeah, in this position, it seems if you don't, let's get back the board. If you don't play bishop d4 stuff. Let's go back with the board. So it's better to have a bishop on d2 than this bishop on b2 is useless. So with bishop on d2, at least you could fight with f4. Let's bring a board. Yeah. So I think what worries him that he cannot liquidate so easily, right? whatever he exchanges.
Yeah, if you take on d6, feels like you're just giving black everything, like just removing all this weaknesses or whatever for black's pawns, or pawns are more compact, and then your bishop is still like dead on b2.
So maybe like exchanging queens. Was that a better try?
Probably white had some advantage after this. So 91, 93.
Yeah. So here,
maybe it was all based on this thinking that concretely bishop d4 was working.
That's why I'm happy that we have post-mortem, because sometimes, you really get this insight. So what do we do? Let's say rook e1?
Yeah, or queen c. Well, queen on b3, it's kind of nice, but yeah, I was trying to think of some like a4, rook b4, and then taking on e5, but
maybe this is an issue, just moving the king and start.
Yeah.
I don't know, king h8 or something, and then I have so many threats around.
Yeah, you can even start thinking about knight f4 at some point. Yeah.
Come, Malcolm, let's hear something. We can go on the side and Malcolm jump in. So, Alireza, let's give you a mic. Alireza forgot that he's playing on time, classical chess.
And he's dum 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 dum.
He will now go to blitz mode. He wants to go there, to bullet. Okay, I'm quite curious, because clock situation is crazy. 8 minutes versus 1 hour. I think you know that detail, right?
No, I've been playing in the Bug House tournament and losing to every child I come across. Well, I've never played Bug House properly before.
And?
What a shock to the system.
What would you say, your level?
About 500, I don't know.
Okay, big space for improvement.
My God, I couldn't understand how White was going to improve his position here.
No, it's not about improving now.
But I mean, how's he going to get to the time control?
Now, yes, now that's the question. So what did he play? We have a move.
You won, yeah?
92.
92.
Which gives some chances, obviously, for black. Great position for...
Yeah, no, this is
for,
a nice... I mean, king h8 is an easy move, and it just sits. It's just very solid. In fact, I mean, White now is a little bit short of pieces on the king side.
Yeah.
I mean, is it time to start thinking about king h8 and knight f4? And
yes, absolutely.
It's slowly time to start getting entertained, as we say. Yeah. Looking for a bit of entertainment, it seems to me.
I guess he will have to play some g3, but then it weakens, h3 and stuff like that, knight g5.
Yeah.
How to include this rook into the... Or you can play without it.
You know what, I think you just say, actually, maybe. I'm holding e5, I'm fine. I'll come back to b8 if I need to, but I'm fine. Yeah. I mean, the bishop on b2 is nothing, right?
Yeah, it's very bad. Yeah, king h8 looks like the move you would play, and then think, just to have the option of moving the knight, and also in general, just for all the tactics, just get away from the diagonal.
I mean, you can even watch here. Is it easier for you? Closer a bit, or Malcolm?
No, I'm fine. But I mean, if White can't put a knight on d3, I don't understand his position, in a way. Yeah, this structure for White without a knight on d3, with a knight on d3, it's a different world.
Yeah.
But he hasn't managed to do that.
Yeah. Okay, there are several scenarios where White keeps a pool in this position, sometimes even without knight on d3, something on the c file. I was mentioning some lines. But here it was based on some calculations which didn't
come off somehow.
And we spotted some idea. And
was there? Sorry, just going back a move. Was it possible to take on e5 then and go f4, f5? Was that possible?
We were discussing bishop e4. That was our concept, and then after e5, only move for black. It's good enough is bishop e4, which was probably
might have been the idea.
Yeah.
But what about taking on e5 as well? Was that possible?
So here, knight takes.
Yeah.
Bishop
takes, knight takes, or f4. Knight takes, I think, first.
Maybe f4 even better.
And then f4, f5. That's what I want to do. Is that possible?
But
it's not very convincing.
Even if you take on e6, you'll be...
I'm still worse. Pawn down, right?
Yeah. Some knight e5 and something.
Right, I'm going to have to go and do a bit more Bug House.
So with
Please-
whom you are
please-
with whom you are paired?
I'm playing with Daniel Dupper, but it's not helping.
Yeah.
And just pray for us, basically. That's the only thing that will work. I mean, you can put a piece on with checkmate in this version of Bughouse. Which
can,
makes it complete. No, you can.
You can.
Which makes it completely random. So
Are the queens extra queens already at the board when you start the game?
No.
No.
Oh,
Okay.
I've definitely got to go.
Okay. Good luck.
Can I just talk to you for 1 second?
Sure.
I'm going to leave you on your own for the moment, Lenya.
Yeah, so still a question here after 92. Nodirbek hasn't played. I think I was saying that King H8 looks so logical here. Thinking of ways, yeah, it seems that Black's play should be on the king side, right? Because you could think of ways to try to even play c5 at some point and try to take him before. But I think that plays a bit into White's. I think keeping the structure, you know, it's because White would like to have some play on the queen side, but he doesn't have any. And if you play c5, you might give White, even if he loses a pawn or something, some counterplay. I think it's absolutely like king h8, knight f4. This moves.
Yeah, I was explaining this to viewers also that sometimes you have your mindset of coming out of the opening with a normal position. Let's say that trying to equalize or be stable, but now you're in a different mode. You're aware that you're having sort of good position, promising position. Let's call it. We can call it even better position. But now you need to like put the different energy because you need to come up with strong moves. Your opponent to try to defend, try to liquidate, and it's not so simple because sometimes it's easier to hold and to equalize, to outplay player like Alireza from this position. Even if you're slightly better, it's not an easy task, no matter what engine says.
Yeah,
so that's why he will start using some more time because he wants to be precise.
And especially now, Alireza is in defensive mode.
Yeah.
It's not really. He's aware that he's not better, to put it mildly, and he'll fight hard to stay in the game. So it's gonna take still some work to beat him here.
Exactly, but we can say that Nodirbek got this free ride a little bit easier than we expected. That right out of the opening, he will be ahead on the clock and also with promising position. That means that Alireza in this tournament, although he's sold second, that somehow is still shaky for him.
Yeah, I think it worked perfectly. The opening choice, this kind of on-balance game, I think it suits Nodirbek well, and just got a very, very nice, very promising position with a huge time advantage also.
Okay, I think that, Nodirbek will start burning some time with precise moves. Let's go to Adam's checkline because something has happened. Queen f3,
At least he solved the problem of the knight on g3.
Actually, black solved. Yeah, Sam solved his opponent's problem, right? With rook f7. I give you that you chance that you solve the problem. But it's no exclamation mark.
Wow.
Okay, a little bit exaggerating, but it's quite nice because knight h6 is coming.
And knight is jumping to every possible.
This is
square.
very cool sacrifice. So
yeah,
kudos to Mickey because suddenly all the pieces
makes
have
sense
some
now.
role, right?
Yeah.
Knight on
the knight on a5. You feel now that it's misplaced much more. Yeah.
It's funny.
That is the extra knight, but
when we exchange the queens and my rook comes to b6, this knight is completely dominated.
Yeah. Black has to deal with a lot of things now. So.
Yeah. Now this knight cannot come to
This was the game, yeah?
Yeah.
Knight d7 is the point, or?
Knight d7.
Oh, he's thinking here.
Yeah. But then I can give check and take on d6.
Yeah. So what to do here? It's also knight g4.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's his idea to play knight g4,
Knight
knight g6.
g4.
Yeah, if knight d6, rook e1, at least you.
Well,
It's
even
still
that,
possible.
even that is not.
Yeah. Take. Take
Even
on
that
f4.
is probably not good for.
King e1, yeah. Or king e2. Yeah.
I don't know. Let's go to e1 maybe. It's not simple
Knight,
at all.
that's no moves, yeah. On a5.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
And maybe there is something even better after knight g4, I'm not sure.
So let's try to find a move for black. Coming to the second rank probably is not bringing anything. I was thinking some rook e2 or something, but
Yeah.
I don't see that this is going anywhere. So d6 is falling. Rook b8 maybe to get this knight
the knight
change.
out,
Yeah.
Knight b3 or.
I was thinking is this a
But rook
move?
d6.
Yeah, but rook d6 and I'm again struggling. So how to hold? Rook e6.
Yeah, rook e6, but I was thinking even after something like, let's say I take on a6 first.
Mm-hmm.
Knight,
Yeah.
If knight b3, rook d6, I have so many pawns.
Yeah, correct. Not a simple position to defend. Not at all.
What about d5?
d5 now it came
d5,
to my mind.
take on a6.
It
probably.
looks like the best move.
And knight b3 or something.
But okay, here I would say that in some scenario black can hold with activity.
Yeah.
Pawns are strong, but still, now the piece at least will start entering. I think this is the correct way, and I think that Sam will play it. Hang on, this is analysis.
He went knight g4.
He went knight g4. Okay.
Knight g4 was tempting too, yeah, because you have this rook e1 and the rook taking on f4 and so on.
But now he
It's
said
worse. It's worse than d5, yeah, according to.
yes, it's worse. Knight d6. I don't
Rook
see any.
e2 is rook e2 possible here, but it's
Rook
too slow. Yeah.
Rook g3.
Rook
and
d3,
then you
rook
take.
e1. No,
Time.
there is mate.
Ah,
yeah.
sorry, I blundered a mate. Oh,
But
that
I guess you can get
that
back.
was the position. Sorry. Maybe.
Maybe h3 or h3.
H3, I wanted
if
to-
93, then rook g3. Yeah. No, then it doesn't make sense. Yeah. I'll probably have to
Go rook
knight
e1.
d6, rook e1, rook f1. Because it would be nice for black to keep some pieces. Maybe rook f1, rook e2. I play like that, or
But this knight can even return to.
yeah, knight can come to e4 back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although knight e4, knight c4, but
Mm-hmm. Okay, you want to go knight e3, so I need to fight against it.
I guess if rook a6, I can play knight b3. Even there's knight d2 also.
Okay, let's go h. Then you
H3.
have rook e.
Yeah,
knight
rook
e2, rook
f2, at
e2,
least I have a
rook
draw.
e1 and knight f1, right?
Yeah. With a draw at least, yeah, maybe more. Not so simple, huh? How
Yeah,
to play
but-
here?
Engine is very happy. Let's try to find out why. Yeah, I know why, probably. Angelo now play something silly like returning the rook to b1 or something, like, and then play rook f2.
Rook
again.
b1.
Yeah, and then after 93, rook
93,
f2. Yeah, these kind of things, but I don't know, is it good? Maybe it's not. Probably it's not. Yeah,
No.
still. So what is the move?
So
94 doesn't work. Rook a6.
Yeah, rook
You
a6.
mentioned knight 93, but I believe even knight b3 or bringing
Yes.
the knight cannot.
Yeah, knight b3, knight d2. Yeah.
Cannot be a move. h4 stuff, but not. But then
Nah, I don't believe.
then knight g4 you have in the end, so I cannot run.
Yeah.
So
Maybe h3. No, h3, knight e3, rook f3, something like this. Rook g2, king h1, rook g2, rook g3, and knight
So
f7.
this you mentioned. Rook
yeah,
f3.
rook f3. Yeah.
Yeah, probably this is the move.
Because rook g2, king h1. Yeah. Yeah, if rook e1, king f2.
Yeah,
if this,
yeah.
And if
This
you go
is-
back to e2, then it's mate. Yeah, rook,
Yeah.
rook
This is true probably. Rook f3 is the move.
h3, rook f3. Yeah.
And
It's probably the only way. Yeah.
yeah. And suddenly, it's not good. But I believe that he can dig it. He's there. He's concentrated, motivated. That Mickey can sort it out.
Yeah, but this top position, yeah, like White could even get in trouble if he's not careful with this counterplay, especially if you allow the other knight in at some point. I think Mickey will keep the rook on b6 for
Not even considering
for
this.
some time.
Yeah. But okay, turning point. Because if you don't play knight d6, what can you do? Okay, you can go back completely, right? Knight g3, knight f1, but it doesn't sound too good.
No.
Yeah, so he must take on d6. Okay, he can start with... No, h3 doesn't work as well.
h3, but it's
take on f5 and on f4. So
I think he
will take.
He will take, yeah, because he will. I mean, the most obvious line is just you check and take at rook f4, and once you see this is good for White, then there's no reason not to take on d6 with the knight, no?
I'm pretty sure that he sees it. I think also the Sam sees it as well, but now they're trying to find how to deviate some possibilities. But very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting game. So I mean, again, with Black, I not knowing, of course, as the players, or they don't know anything what the computer says. Like I would think, I even have chances because somehow
Some desperado motive.
Yeah. But yeah, he took. But yeah, once you start calculating the lines, you see that it's Black is suffering a lot. Yeah.
How about your experience? I was always the one being happy with playing with a piece versus 3 pawns or 2 pawns and a rook. Somehow, long term on my level, always there was some chance to do something with pieces.
Yeah, no, I also tend to like the pieces. Yeah, thinking that you'll control things and then collect.
Because it's too scary, and for maybe people who are not experienced, when they start counting rook and 3 pawns, but then suddenly rook 2 pieces, they start creating.
And also I was playing this Nodirbek since my childhood, and those days bishop g5 line in Nodirbek was like everyone played it, and I played like 1,000 games. And often you would get like White would sacrifice a lot, and you would have to run with the king, whatever, and then finally keep a piece, but for 3 pawns, and then you have to play usually a bishop, and then this bishop strong with the rook and everything. So I had that same scenario like a lot of times, and
I won versus Smirnov. He was 26-40, a very important game last round at the European Championship. I had 2 bishops. And he had like 4 pawns, but 2 bishops are so strong that suddenly wherever he goes, I collect something. So I was the one liking pieces, but of course there are players who are very skillful in controlling the game with pawns.
Yeah.
There was a famous game who was playing this. some Russian GM. I will recall later when then he sacrificed a rook and had 4 pawns versus a rook and a knight, but king is there in the end game, and suddenly you cannot stop them. So yeah, pawns are strong, but people tend to overestimate how far pawns can go because sometimes it's really like a long way. When you start pushing one, start pushing second, and
It takes time.
It takes some time. So here, Sam.
Yeah, this is a big moment now for Sam because rook e1 and taking on f4, it's the most obvious. But once you start calculating, you might want to find something else. Like this option of check and rook e2 felt natural. Like in general, I feel like trying to keep the 2 rooks, of course, gives black, in theory at least, the option of taking over eventually with some counterattack, but it doesn't seem very likely in reality.
Yeah, and as I said before, my point was that now you see rating of Miki, and he's 2650, let's call it, but he's 2650, not anymore 2670, because he loses some games where there are like initiative chances. But when he starts digging with details, and this is
maybe in this position he's still 2750.
2750. Yeah, that's my point. So it's not a huge success to play against him now. This position. Yeah, and I believe that he will sort it out. But also Sam is capable, of course, creating some counterplay.
So what Sam comes up with, because
it's probably like only one way to stay in the game.
Maybe objectively he should play rook e1, take pawns, and then try to save himself in this position. Yeah, like king e1 or and then play some knight e3. I don't know. I'll go after the pawns, knight h2, and then eventually give the knight for the pawn.
Yeah, because engines sometimes give you a huge plus, but tend to like overestimate possibility that you will end up with a rook and a knight versus rook, which is of course dead draw, unless you're Garry Kasparov. He won versus Judith Polgar, and Magnus won versus whom? Smets or Stelwagen?
I also beat Onishuk in Bill. Yeah, in 2008.
From a normal position, it was
from a completely normal. Yeah, keen on the center, whatever.
Because I played like.
And I remember that game, like feeling that. I mean, I knew it was a draw, but it went so smooth. At some point, I found some, these typical ways that you put the knight back and then you kind of just knight on f7, rook on b7 or something. And so he made, of course, a blunder or a few, and then I got a winning position, and it felt like, of course I won. Yeah, it's completely winning, but of course, you see how the way to defend it's so easy. I mean, it's way easier than the rook and bishop. And then you cannot. I mean, it's hard to understand how you could lose this, but I won it one. I think it's the only one I had it. Maybe I had it, and I don't remember, but that's the one.
I had something like 6 times, and I couldn't do anything. While I never had a rook and a bishop versus rook, either colors. And I'm always showing this winning position during broadcast, rook and a bishop, how you win from that one position, which actually Fabi didn't manage against Fiedler at Hunting Assist Candidates, and then he needed to win with the black pieces versus Karyakin. He could have played his World Championship match earlier if he managed to win. He forgot to do it on the short side because he started to move the bishop, but his rook was on the longer side. Yeah. So I was studying this, I was waiting, but it never came. While rook and a knight I had 6 times and I couldn't do anything. But by the way, Kamsky won versus Bakro, rook versus knight. There was some
yes,
NTL
I remember that one. Yes.
And it came from the rook's endgame typical thing, and he was already on the last rank. But it's not so simple. Look, also that people tend to underestimate that endgame.
I don't remember if it was something like very special, like it was unpleasant already because the knight was far. Because when it's close,
it was normal. But at some stage you need to separate with knight, and he was keeping his knight. What I learned about that endgame, that everyone says you just keep your knight next to your king, but that's wrong. At some point you need to move it, and he didn't. And then suddenly he was getting into lost position. I was actually. I was discussing this with Levon at the World Cup after he lost versus June. There was some chatting, studies we were showing to each other, and then I touched this topic, and Levon knows some details when your opponent gets into wrong details. By the way, for myself, I can say that I think that I'm a little bit better in endgames that average 25-50, but I know some rook endgames especially. But what Levon started to show, it was really like because he knows details of details and.
Yes.
Previously, yeah.
And he knows a lot of studies.
Yeah,
and stuff.
So I was very impressed. So here, Mickey is not on the move. Now it's Sam's
Yeah, Sam's
turn.
still thinking, yeah.
And I think he will burn some time because, as I said, we have this info about the position, which I think helps us a bit that you get the right information about the position. But players, they don't have a clue at some point what's going on, so they need to dig it themselves. I think now he's getting slowly aware how unpleasant it is, that he will start to readjust. Now it's not about winning, now it's about
safe,
holding. When he gets into that mode, I think he can do it. Where we can go, let's see how this game develops.
Wow, such a change in the...
So, we left around here.
We don't get rook e3, king h8, logical.
Normal move, engine tends to condemn.
Amazing. And f4, no f-file open.
Very interesting that he plays f4. Is he having g4, g5, g4 in mind? I don't know.
Rook e1, does he want f3 or?
To push f3.
Maybe not, Maybe just take it and then rook e3 and king h1, rook e1. Because if you don't play f3, it's like
f3 coming.
Very one-sided, no?
Yeah,
like,
I don't know if he
worse.
can, but I don't believe that after f3 the g5, g4 can be something. It should be too slow.
Yeah, I think if I'm able to play f3 and of course e5 next, then it'll be very nice, and I get the c5 square. And although e5, c5.
I think we have a move. Is it f3? I believe f3 played. Yeah.
So he played f3. Yeah.
Sort of necessary, and g3.
Played g3.
Okay. Nice. Super complicated.
Yeah, interesting. I guess on queen g5 or...
So white is counting always with this queen f1 or...
Yeah, there's always
or
queen
knight
f1.
will come to e3 maybe.
Yeah, or you can play some rook e3, kind of tie the pieces to this f3 pawn, and then even knight b1, knight d2 could be an idea.
Only thing is, when you take the pawn, maybe c5 will come at some point, so maybe that's not the idea.
Yeah.
Or it is, I don't know. Because black is quite ready if there will be some exchanges in the center. King is far away.
Yeah, I think another question is black wants to decide to move some pawns before like c5 or e5 possible, or for example e5. Not sure that it's what you want.
So quite reasonable.
Not bad, yeah. Rook d1 or something.
Yeah, but now taking
Take and then maybe some queen e6 or something. Yeah. It's still king h1, but
so
yeah, e5 taking, queen e5. Now rook d1.
Knight somewhere or rook d1 you mentioned. Yeah.
Although there's no threat.
Quite complicated, yeah. There is no threat because
you want rook e3 maybe, but
maybe rook e3, huh? Yeah, probably this is the way to go.
It feels better for white anyway.
We have a5.
a5.
Which suddenly, okay, it's of course connected with the idea of checkmating and then that bishop control.
Preventing queen f1 and everything. Yeah.
But it's a bit far away, right?
Yeah. So I guess rook e3, bishop a6, queen d1, queen f7. This is the idea, something like this, yeah. And then queen h5. This actually makes sense, yeah. How to refute it?
Yeah, as you mentioned, sometimes the engine knows that like 15 moves, 10 moves ahead, that won't be.
There is a resource,
Yeah,
yeah,
resource.
but we
But
don't
for
see.
human, you start to like do some prophylaxis not to end up in that position, and by doing that, you make some kind of concession.
Can you play e5 or not?
Okay.
Trying to use this, I mean, to kind of create a weakness there, yeah, on e5 or c5. Because I was thinking that c5 would be the reaction to e5. But now I think I have ed, knight, queen d6, knight b5. Maybe. And take on c5.
But
So
now
maybe
it's,
didn't exist with the pawn on a6, by the way. But I don't know if that was the...
Now I have some vision for white. The next 4 or 5 move, he can improve more than black.
Yeah, and then this bishop a6 is would be kind of empty here because I would have all the play in the center. Rook e3. Yeah, then black is doing well. Yeah, I guess it's this idea, right? To play bishop a6, queen moves, and queen f7.
Queen d2.
Let's say, yeah, I don't know if he wants to go to d1 or d2, but anyway, I'll play, yeah, just something to get the queen to h5.
So maybe I should go to d1.
Yeah, queen d1, queen f7. It's not so easy now because if you move the knight, there's bishop e2, which is annoying, and I want this queen h5.
And I don't need to protect anything, yeah, here. Because
Probably you'll have to play e5 now at some point, but then...
So rook e3 seems to be a serious mistake, but it's also logical, as you mentioned, and that was your first idea that you
that's
put the pressure on
the most
f3.
natural, yeah. Especially when you play g3, I mean, you allow f3 to play g3, you want to play this rook e3 most of the lines, I guess. But the issue is that with the bishop totally passive on b7, you have this knight b1, knight d2 resource. I think at some point was important to even queen d1 first, knight b1, knight d2, and then rook c1, c3. It's like you will win this pawn on c3, on f3 at some point. But with bishop on a6, able to come to e2 any moment, then it's not so easy for white.
What do you think, Liner? Is it now some option at some stage that white sacks the exchange?
Could be, yes.
At least,
but it would be like, against against his will, not what he wants.
Yeah. I think now Luke will realize that he didn't go too deep, maybe, and then
yeah,
he will be regretting that.
He will need to think now and come up with something special because it's like queen f7 and he has a very clear plan. You have to come up with something, e5, I think, would be logical, trying to get knight. But e5, d5 maybe, Queen d1, queen f7, e5, something like this.
So is there a better move than queen f7?
Yeah, maybe there is,
He's hanging.
Queen
yeah,
d5,
the rook is hanging. Now I spotted, yes. Just so, yeah.
And also queen g5 threatens queen takes e3.
Oh, that's a nice thing.
And f2,
That's
e5
a nice thing.
or something,
No, he will go for it. So, and I think now that Luke will start going into different mindset, because it's now not about exploiting some things. It's more to be super precise, and we can see on the camera that Nicolas is aware that chances are there now. Let's go full screen. Let's give you the moment. Critical point, second, let's say, or third one, but sort of critical point.
Yeah, probably queen d1 was his intention. He plays it anyway. this queen g5 is really, really strong now.
But since black is like ready to go forward for last few moves, I believe that queen g5 will be high on his list, and that he'll go for
it's
it.
very much his
Because
style.
now it's about going forward, which is something you want to do.
Not such a difficult tactic, yeah.
Yeah, he already sees it, and now he's just rechecking. And I believe that Luke also sees it now, and queen goes to g5. Yep, just an obvious choice for a player of that caliber. And now I'm quite curious. Yeah,
it's amazing, how easy you can get into trouble in chess in high level. Like this position seemed well controlled even after allowing this f3, but just 2 moves and.
Yeah, this is actually the main thing when players are in his prime, and at his peak, you tend to like step out of the danger a little bit earlier than it happens.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Because now even like stronger player than Luke can lose this game.
We'll have a lot of trouble.
Yeah, it's not now about the class, but few moves ago, player of your caliber or stronger or top even
will sense the danger a bit more.
Somehow, yeah. Because now for me it's understandable. Sometimes I'm getting that kind of questions where I don't know, like 24 player asked me about some position or game, and then I said now it's sort of, I wouldn't be surprised that I lose it, or even 26-50, because it's tough. It's now he allowed some super counterplay and it's hard to navigate. But few moves ago, some a4 would be played to stop a5 activity or something. Yeah, this is the main thing. It's not about now this position. If you put even, as I mentioned, you or some stronger play, it's hard to navigate now because
it's difficult. Yeah, and you have to be like, of course, super aware of all these small tactics. Yeah, it's always crucial, like to justify your general plans with this short. I mean, small tactics is key, because that allows you to like play fast and spot all these little things that could get you eventually into danger. Because what Luke is doing is, it's kind of logical. You're putting pressure on f3 and all this, but it's a question of sometimes concrete details that just don't allow you to execute.
And the thing is, like few moments ago, his position, looks so nice, and suddenly you're in different mode. You need to be super careful, which is not easy to.
Especially after this f4. I mean, it's f-file still closed, and White has the better structure. It looked like he would be able to put pressure now, but f3.
Even taking here, maybe you was spend some more
so
time.
Bad. I mean, Black has compensation, but you have the pawn, and not
can
so
defend
bad.
move,
But d3 was even objectively a bit stronger,
But here,
this is a critical moment, because I think once you see, I mean, you can see all these ideas to put pressure on f3, but once you see that there's this new element of bishop coming to a6, potentially to e2, controlling f1, not allowing you to play queen f1, and I think this is a moment where you need something more than just playing rook e3 and all this stuff.
you need to act quickly, and that
this is a critical moment.
Suddenly he's regretting this a lot, and objectively speaking, maybe it's only one way to come out.
Can he still fight somehow, or like queen d2, queen g4? It looks like you can get mated, like just in very straightforward fashion. Queen h3, bishop f1, like if you play king h1.
So queen e3 is coming. So you mentioned which is the first move. Rook c2
Maybe
is
rook c2, but rook c2 again, queen g4. Yeah, but at least, queen h3 is a threat. So how do you defend against that?
This checkmate is coming, so I cannot take on f3. So I need to do something super fast. And why this is not that lost?
Not easy, Already here, it's something like super special,
But really super special.
Back to
H4.
C1, H4 is an
H4,
option.
I was thinking.
But yeah, looks so close.
Yeah, but this is not working.
No, maybe rook back to C1.
And if you go H3,
H3, queen H3, rook F3. Maybe this. This is brilliant.
But still looks
Wow,
tough.
yeah, this
Looks
is
tough. You don't wanna open your king even more, but
so maybe
tough
not
moment.
queen G4, queen H5. Yeah,
It's a tough moment. Let's just briefly check other games. So what's going on? So in Adams,
yeah, he went for the that they see he understands that he has to
collect something and
defend. Yeah, it's not about winning. I mean, there's in theory some scenario where the rook and the two knights can coordinate and deliver mate, but it's realistically, I guess, not very likely.
yeah, but also now white to win this position, he needs to navigate, avoid so many stuff. So it's not just one-sided.
Yeah.
In that sense, just to maybe predict or to announce to our viewers that it's possible to go wrong, that in like next 6 moves we will get into completely drawish position, because it's not so simple to avoid everything here now with white.
Just looking at the position, just let's say if you would just come now and just see, it would feel drawish, like the knight.
Then we have Alireza. Yeah, we need to follow this one.
Wow,
So
a lot of things happening
so
here.
G3.
Yeah, G3 had to be played.
So he allowed all
So
those.
he went really concrete with this knight C5 and D3. Knight D2. C6 and rook D5. This is nice.
Very nice.
I guess it looks like, yeah.
Very nice. C6 creating a threat, some kind of threat. Rook D5. This is really brilliant.
King G2.
Threatening knight H4.
Rook C2.
Rook C2 to defend the queen. Now knight H4 is not winning, and he's thinking. 2 days ago and 3 days ago, Nodirbek was in studio here. I was commentating, and then he started throwing some lines which are like 20 moves long. What do you think? Can you compete still with those youngsters in terms of how far
I
you
don't
can
know. In calculation, I was, never the guy to calculate so deep. I was trying to kind of at least make sure that 2-3 moves, but good ones.
They're good.
Yeah, so like some famous players said, like long lines, they always contain some kind of mistake. Yeah, but of course it's amazing. Yeah, ability that some people have to calculate precisely and deep lines. Yeah.
There was a famous game against Kum at Vaikanzi where
yes, that's the one I remember. Yes.
20 moves, but I'm trying to recall. Was it Sam or was it someone who was there? 2700 player, but not like 2750 plus. So someone was around 27.
Yeah, where his king was
king was
forward.
running. Not Kari Krishna. No, I don't know. Maybe even someone of that profile, like around 2700.
Exactly
I can remember a bit later. But then here he played versus Sam, and then he started to show some line, which I think, and in the end it was a draw. I think it's more or less similar in number of moves. He's showing, and then he says, I'm waiting that we switch to another position, and then he says, and then I was calculating, and then he shows like 4 moves, and then I wanted to say, okay, I'm waiting that he says, and now it's like winning, draw, and then he said, and then I was calculating. So after each position, he was like getting to 5 more moves than I expected. So it was really like fabulous. So I'm not surprised now in this position. Let's go back with the board. The problem is it stays hidden how far they are going here. He's now for sure like calculating so many stuff, which is rook f4 stuff. I don't know what actually to mention.
But at least now, it's might go wrong for Alireza, but it's good in the sense that it's more clear what he has to do.
I was thinking, is it possible to go for a checkmate with some rook f4?
Yeah, rook f4 is very natural. Yeah,
rook
f4.
I was thinking, is it possible to go for some
And queen
some
h3, yeah.
checkmate stuff.
Queen h3 and rook h5. Yeah.
So let's show it. Let's say now, I don't know, some move. Okay, queen is hanging, but let's say that, yeah, knight e4, right? We can show the checkmate, right?
Knight e4, queen h3, yeah.
Yeah, this is nice. I spotted this, and this looks really, really nice, but of course both players will see it. So rook f4.
Yeah, probably you should try to hold on to this knight on e4 now, as long as you can.
Bishop c1.
Can you play h3 also? Or?
Mm-hmm.
Knight h4, king h2. This holds, no?
This holds, yeah, exactly.
Maybe after h3 you can play something else, like maybe queen g6, but then, then I can take on d6 maybe. If I take, maybe just take back on d6, rook takes, or...
Yeah. And then e4 is coming, and then when this knight...
Bishop e5, there's...
This one is hanging, but there is nothing, right?
4 is hanging also, but bishop e5, rook e6 probably, yeah. But bishop f4...
There is even better move. Knight h4, rook e4. Is this...
Maybe this, yeah.
I'm not sure. Maybe...
King h2, rook e4, actually the king,
the
king is almost trapped.
Probably it's winning, yeah.
Yeah.
So... What's the current position? Rook c2
rook c2
played.
Yeah, it's thinking,
He's on 2 minutes. Alireza. But he can even play in this crazy time control mode. Let's just briefly check Eliano versus Vitugo, because here a lot of things were happening. So we left around here after knight c4. Rook f4 was played.
Yeah, rook c2, rook
f5.
d2. Yeah, this is, I imagine that this is Eliano's idea.
But still, yeah, this is long-term stuff. It's not just when it happens, it's quite unpleasant.
h4 takes.
Yeah,
you don't want to allow h3 or...
Oh, that's nice. Knight goes to e2. That's how he won the queen. Very nice. And now it's obvious that black is playing for a win, but maybe white can hold somehow, but it's very unpleasant, because when rooks will be exchanged, everything is undefended.
Falling apart.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually the fortress is the only hope here. But you need to find stable squares for the pieces. The rook on f4 looks solid, but...
Is some b5 coming?
Yeah, that's the problem. The knight will be kicked out of c4. Yeah. Even after rook f4 or something like, b5 immediately, or even if you trade rooks. Although probably black should keep the rooks. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe not. There's no need, but it's waiting the right moment, right?
Yeah, and then eventually b5 and attack go after the pawn on a3.
Serious advantage for black. Serious advantage. As I said, I had a feeling that this is not like exact Eliano's position, because it's not so simple to play that position. It would be like a little bit more technical, but that was not a technical position at all. And John, we haven't touched this one at all. So
he went for rook b1 before. Which
how this happened on the king side?
Looks very solid, because it looks like everything will be liquidated on the queen side. Oh, he was relying on this.
Very nice, because this way this maneuver was awesome. And now g4 is coming, or knight h4, whatever.
To play g6, which is a bit of a problem. The knight h4 was bad,
So there was a better move, maybe transferring the queen, or
queen d2, queen g7, queen f4, something like this. But it's not obvious. No? Knight h4 looks very nice too. But you give counterplay now with the queen coming to c1 and so on. Queen c1. Queen f4. Queen f4, king h3 is this idea, or?
What is now the move?
Can you take on f2, or?
And g7 you take, huh?
Yeah, or knight f5 or something like that.
Yeah, knight f5 probably. Knight f5, g7.
Queen f2 loses, yeah. Why does it lose?
Knowing engine, some queen a3 stuff, something you don't even calculate usually happens, but
Queen a3, yeah?
usually engines play that kind of things, but
It's a double attack, actually.
yeah, but is it working? It doesn't look.
Probably, no?
Really?
It's attacking two pieces. Yeah, you kind of feel.
Yeah, because I'm just commentating these days so much, and then suddenly I'm getting those influence with those stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm searching for not normal. You're searching for normal stuff, and I'm searching for not normal. Yeah. So here after king h3. So what do you do?
Yeah.
F6 is not working, or f5? Is that kind of move? f5?
f5, but then takes on f6, no?
Queen f6?
Yeah.
And we play this kind of position, which
Probably not winning, but should be much better for white. No?
Is there anything better? Is there anything better for black here?
Queen f4 is not great, yeah.
Queen f4 I think is good. No, not best.
That's the moment, yeah. So hard, no? Because doesn't seem to be like a obviously better move.
Usually it should be bringing the piece, but I don't believe that some bishop e8 or something can work.
Yeah.
Or
so ugly, no? Bishop e8. Take on f7, bishop f7. Check king f8. Check on h8.
Something.
Knight
Let's
g8.
just try, but I have a feeling that this doesn't work. Yes.
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah.
So what else? Okay, this is some kind of asset for future, but it's really long term. Queen
Yeah,
G5.
that's the other reasonable way, no? Queen g5, but is it so much better than queen f4? I mean,
yeah,
cannot be, no?
yeah, it's the same thing. So
Yeah, tough moment, no? This is for
yeah, study.
exercise at home.
Yeah. Actually, this is what I was telling to viewers because, okay, puzzle storm and those stuff when you know that you are like winning, but it's more like you can improve more by putting some position and trying to
From a
defend.
real game.
Yeah, and trying to defend, to find resources, how to stay in the game. I think this is very important.
FG and knight g6, knight
I was
f5.
thinking about this. I was thinking about that, and you're right, probably. This is the best way.
That's the way.
Okay, now white cannot give queen f4 check, so white has some time. Queen, I don't know where. No, but I cannot move my queen anywhere smart. I cannot penetrate with the queen, right? There is no way.
No way, no.
G4,
Yeah, that's the question. What happens after g4?
knight d4. Can I play or not? I cannot calculate this. Can I play?
Knight d4. I mean, it would be like...
Miracle that it works. And
It does, yeah. Is it the only way?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Probably it is, yeah, because otherwise... They're attacking the pawn on f2, but there's not even a way, yeah. Queen
F4
e2,
or
queen b2 or something, but
Uh-huh.
no, this is...
Queen b2, yeah.
No,
Doesn't
this
work.
was...
Well,
yeah, you
maybe,
can take and king h1.
maybe only way. So, queen f4 played, suboptimal move.
And king h3, yeah, was obviously his idea, yeah.
But now it will be quite tough for me. Okay, so just briefly, let's check. Really?
All this happened, or?
So h3 was played.
Rook f4, h3, but we spoke about this line, no?
Yes, and then moving the queen or something.
Queen
you
g6
mentioned.
here, yeah?
Yes. Okay, but why is he repeating?
Ah, because he wins the tournament with the draw, yeah? But he knows this. And he has so much time. I think he'll play on, no? I mean, if he sees Queen g6...
Because to have black and like this kind of situation, it's not easy to get it next time.
Yes. And it's a question of pure calculation here. And this is a guy who can calculate.
Yes, exactly. Miki.
Oh, it's going well for white, yeah.
But still.
Knight on a2, I'm not sure if it's much better than on a5.
Yeah, take a look. But it's still...
Knight on e4 is nice, yeah.
Still decent.
Not easy, yeah.
Here...
Oh, so how did he play after Queen g5?
So he went
Queen
Queen
e1,
e1, Queen g4, and King
like
h1.
this, yeah, but this won't work.
I was thinking about this.
A rook will come, no? And
because now this is the point. So this is the main difference between the rook c2, because now if you go in this line I was thinking about it, then bishop f1 comes.
Yes.
So that's why he needs to keep the rook. That's why he's sort of dropping a move. Just so he wants to get a square, or
yeah, probably wants to combine king side
bringing
play
another rook
with some central play. No, even go after the d4 pawn.
Oh, we have a draw.
Oh, so he wants to secure the tournament. How easy it was to win here? Like king g2, queen g6, right? Was the way?
Let's see. Let's just briefly check. Maybe it's not. So queen g6, this is what we were offering.
Yes.
And the game goes on. And it's some advantage. But
yeah,
instead is knight d6, right?
Knight d6.
Rook d6, and if you take, there is this knight h4, rook e4.
Yeah.
So you need to... But hang on. So bishop f4, f5, knight h4, rook e4. This is not lost.
Yeah, here it's losing, no? Ah, gh4. Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's sort of fortress. Rook d3, right?
It's rook g1, there's rook h3. Yeah, maybe you could make a draw here, but this is obviously not the reason why you repeat. Yeah.
Okay, we will get this info. I believe that they will come here, or at least one of them. Nodirbek after winning the tournament. Congratulations, by the way.
Yeah.
Fantastic performance.
Great performance.
So which one to pick up? Now it's everywhere is burning. Maybe how is the situation? Okay, Mishra has enough time.
And Elianov is still fighting queen down, yeah.
Yeah, but quite unpleasant. With bishop is possible maybe to somehow...
Played f6, yeah. f6 is interesting because he wants to keep I guess, the rook. Like something like gf, especially under king f7, rook g8.
But maybe this one will be the most critical very soon, because it's quite long time.
Also after d5 he went knight b1.
So allowing this bishop to stuff.
Yeah. Yes, bishop e2, he wants knight d2 anyway. And queen h3, queen g1 always. Yeah, I think d5 was very logical, because you want to, like, after something like queen h3, queen g1 happens, like if suddenly you can play on the queen side or something with the queen on g1, and you'll just win.
This is typical stuff.
And maybe that's the way to put the bishop on e2, the queen on h3, and then play a4 or something.
Yeah, and I think we will prepare a setup for our guest. And we have a tournament winner. Congratulations, Nodirbek, for winning the tournament.
Thank you very much.
Very interesting game. Actually, some applause from the audience. We were very impressed by how easily you got into a good position out of the opening.
Yeah, we played a very sharp line. It's known to be very dynamic and interesting. Yeah, actually, Bishop E6 is.
First question, sorry, you expected E4 maybe more?
Yeah, both of them, because Alireza was also playing D4 this tournament, so I was expecting also D4. Okay, I prepared this Queen's Gambit accepted, DC, E4, yeah, E5, Knight F3, takes, Bishop C4, Knight C6, castles, and Bishop E6 is a rare move, I guess.
We were expecting maybe he will go for Bishop B5 or Bishop E6, we were not sure.
Yeah, Bishop E6 kind of also interesting.
Liner is playing that line with the black pieces, right?
Yes. Take, Queen B3, that's also theory. Take, Rook B8, Queen A6, Knight F6. Yeah,
We were mentioning
B3.
B3, people play sometimes. So.
Yeah,
Yeah, some
B3.
old theory, but A3 and before.
Yeah, there were some also correspondence games, but okay, yeah. B3 is also a good option for white. A3, castles, B4. Yeah.
You checked this line today?
Yes. Yeah, I just briefly repeated this line. Yeah, so here I played H6, I think, which should be his new move.
Novelty,
I
yeah.
think so. I mean, according to my analysis, you know, in my notes it was mentioned like as novelty. I don't know if it's true or not.
But it's some boost when you play a novelty. I don't know, Liner, do you agree? Yeah, that it's interesting to play some tiny small move and it's new position.
Yeah, no, we were commenting that it was a sign that, you know, my position is good, yeah, because you play H6, just very cool. I mean, you might think, you know, black needs to hurry or something, but no, there's no hurry, just H6 and position is fine.
Yeah, black is very solid. Also, it's you know, a very playable position, and Bishop B2, E5.
Is this Bishop B2, because later this Bishop was a bit stuck on B2, but
Yeah, but
not easy to.
yeah, if white doesn't play Bishop E2, I just, you know, wait, and maybe I want to play maybe next Knight G4 at some point. So he has to play some. So I point behind H6, like I'm waiting with E5. So like if I play E5 instead of H6, the bishop is well placed on C1. So he has like he may play a Queen E2 or and then bring Knight C4 as Knight D1, Knight D3.
yeah.
So bishop is well placed on C1. So that's kind of
And you don't have this Bishop Knight F4 stuff. maybe.
yes.
Okay.
So I'm kind of waiting. H6, Bishop B2, and now E5. So yeah, here I was trying to remember my notes. Yeah, I think I managed to, you know, fully exploit my preparation, I guess. But okay.
Okay, this is not a strong engine, but Knight D8 was maybe the moment to take on D7. And the way how he played.
I thought it should be fine
Yeah.
for black. I mean, it's endgame, so I was not worried at
Knight
all.
B3,
So Knight E6, Knight C4, and here, yeah, he was spending a lot of time, and I later understood that he was calculating maybe Knight C takes E5, Knight C5, Rook E5, Knight E5, Bishop E5, F4, Knight E4. Okay, here if white takes Fe, then I take Rook F1, Knight D2, and black is better. So he has to play F5 instead of Knight D2, Fe, Bishop H2. If King H2, I have Queen D6, so he has to play King H1. And I was calculating Rook F1, and Queen E8.
Another your 10 more moves calculations
Yeah,
position.
and apparently it's equal, yeah? Queen D5, Knight F1.
I have a feeling that you calculated even more, right?
Okay, E7, king h7, and maybe he has some queen e4 or something.
Queen f5,
Queen f5.
and you need to go
And
back.
then I can just repeat.
It's a draw.
Yes. Yes.
But after knight c5, can you take with the bishop on e5 first?
Yes, a4. I was saying
A4.
a4, bishop h2, knight h2, and I thought okay, white maybe
So-
slightly better.
Bishop e5, you mentioned.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a4,
A4, yeah.
Uh-huh.
bishop h2, knight h2. I thought, white should be slightly better.
It's true. We were calculating liner, I think, taking on
b4,
d4.
yeah?
Bishop
I
b4,
also
yeah.
calculated
Yeah,
bishop
and-
b4 take, e5, bishop b4.
Yeah, this is a nice touch. This is a really nice touch. Because other
It's
moves
actually
are
much better for
Yes,
black.
yes, yes.
very nice, very
We
nice.
thought that this is his intention, and then he realizes
No, I
this,
think
and
he
that's
was
why.
like, initially he wanted to, he played knight c4 with the idea of knight c5.
Mm.
So maybe he saw this line and he was kind of frustrated. I mean,
Yeah, because if you don't do this in the position,
Yes.
then it becomes very, very
yes,
unpleasant. Yeah.
very unpleasant.
So this was
for
like
white, yes.
played, as you said, in some kind of not desperation, but he was a little
Yeah.
bit disappointed. Yeah.
Yeah, here I thought, okay, I mean, like should be fine, and yeah, I opted for a very concrete play with king h8, g3. I'm not sure if it's the best, but okay, I thought it's very interesting.
Mhm.
G3, knight c5. Yeah, queen c2, d3, queen d1, takes, all forced. And yeah, from far I thought after queen d3, knight g5, knight d2. My idea was, of course, to play e4, but then I saw this trick with rook c7.
Mm.
And yeah, and here I
Very nice. Deflection, queen protects the rook.
everything works out for white, and white is doing well here. So here I had to change my plans and to play c6.
And just tell me here around, let's say for this queen c5, what do you think? Some kind of strategy to keep a little bit pieces, not to go to direct exchanges, but it's also reasonable
yeah.
to go knight c5, right?
And then
Engine waits, probably.
A5. He plays a5, yeah. Knight a5. What? Knight g4. Okay, it's too much.
This is too
Yes.
brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And then
I don't
this
understand,
knight c5 comes later, I
still,
don't know.
I don't understand what's the idea of like knight g5. Maybe the next. I don't
Yes.
know.
Okay, knight g5 is also an option to go immediately. But
Yeah, knight g5. I thought f3.
F3, yeah.
Yes, and I was thinking, okay, white should be fine here.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay,
yeah, I played
this concrete way.
knight c5.
This
All
is
forced. Yeah. Here, yeah, knight d2.
this c6 was very nice.
Yeah, c6, very logical. Although he was, very low on time, I knew that, he's a,
You'll find a way.
blitz/bullets specialist. So, he is an expert with low, with playing low on time.
Yeah, yeah.
So I didn't really count on that. So I was trying to be very objective here. Knight f3, king g2, queen g4.
It looks scary.
Yeah, it looks scary, but I didn't see like clear path to proceed here. So I went. Yeah, I was thinking bishop c7 to just keep the tension, but thought like h3. I thought that maybe again I had to force a draw with knight h4. I don't know. Yeah, I thought. Okay,
So rook f4 was a nice try.
Yeah, I think initially my idea was like after knight d6. I was thinking I was seriously calculating e4. With the idea of e4 actually, yes. Now,
I think
now
we mentioned this line, yeah.
E4 with
Queen h3, yeah.
Queen h3
Yeah,
still,
we saw
This is what we
Knight
showed.
94, Queen h3.
Funny that engine doesn't see it
Yeah.
like at first. Like
I was very happy with I
Yeah.
spotted this queen h3, so
so
it's nice.
e4, I didn't see like a clear.
No, it's actually good, yeah.
defense for white.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't like seemed. I mean, very dangerous. So yeah, he played
H3.
h3.
h3, yeah?
Yeah.
And now you're curious, right? How to move on.
Yeah, but I calculated queen g6, knight d6, rook d6, bishop e5. Yeah,
Check.
here apparently I didn't see
Check,
knight
and
h4,
this is
king
what-
h2,
what
yeah,
we
knight rook
spotted.
e4,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
this
rook e4,
side.
so.
I
But he
missed
can
that.
sack a queen, and it's not so simple.
Yeah,
maybe
it's
it's
so easy. Maybe it's a draw.
Maybe it's just a
He takes
fortress.
h4, take,
Take
rook
rook
d3.
somewhere. I don't know,
d3 bishop.
bishop g3 or somewhere,
I mean,
and then
Yeah, I
the
mean, you're a
rooks
bit better,
down
but
to
it's likely a draw, yeah.
yes.
Some fortress, yeah.
Practically, it's should be holdable.
Yeah. what can he do instead of taking on d6?
Yeah.
If he keeps the knight, what we were.
I mean, he has no other move. I think simply.
He must take on d6.
He must, yes.
You take with the rook, and now some other move.
Yeah, very forced, like bishop e5. So it must be played, and yeah.